It's just teaching the communication, you know what I mean? He needs to understand what the language is, and you have to understand what the language is to be able to help him through this stuff. Yeah.
Command and like the sit stays.
Cool.
He's been really good to, I've been working with people like coming in. Like yesterday my sister came over, didn't jump on her, didn't bark, kind of like just went over. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I want to do today, we're going to roll through all the commands we did last time. I want to take a look at the nails again today. We're going to kind of piece all the commands together a little bit and try to get them working off the muzzle a little bit. That's kind of my big goal for today. Bed. Good. One thing you could start doing with your rewards is notice I'm waiting until he fully stabilizes before getting in. That way I'm really reinforcing the stability of the position in addition to just getting onto it. Frank, come. Good. Okay. Right, bed. Good. Frank, up. Good. Not bad for 3 times. Good work, buddy. Saw you working those commands yesterday.
Yeah, he's been doing really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any big issues?
No big issues. I did have maybe a concern. I think he knows when he's training versus not training.
Sure. What do you mean by that?
So he does great with those commands. Like today I even packed up my whole car, left my front door open,
Yep.
did not move. But when there's true distractions, I think even if I'm holding this, he doesn't pay attention as much.
Give me like an example.
So my parents were out of town and they came home and my mom rang the doorbell and I had no idea they were like close to being home. And he just booked into the front door. I had this turned up to like, it was like 35 or 37. Didn't even pay attention to it. Until, maybe a minute or two, he finally started to listen and then put him in a bed stay. And then he was listening, but
Sure.
initially not.
So there's a couple sides of the equation, right? So thing number one, like if you were to just show up in my house randomly, just like ring on the bell, knock on the door, my dogs would go running to the front door too, right? So that's normal, right? That I'm not so concerned about, right? the problem is you accepted that you weren't going to be able to get him under control in that situation, which is where I think in the real life situations people go wrong, right? So they'll like try for a minute and then it's like, oh, this isn't working, so whatever, we'll just like do a session later and like get it, and you just let the dog win, right? Where you said, right, so like I'm not sure what you were asking him to do in that moment, maybe a come command, right? Maybe a bed, something like that. Right? You said you gave a correction at a 35, which is crazy low, right? It's obviously good for when you're in your training sessions and stuff like that, but like real life situation, I mean, like there's times my dogs work at 100 for that, right? There's times that many dogs work at 100 for that, right? I'm not saying that's what it's going to be with him, but if he was blowing off your 35, it means it wasn't high enough, right? So that's our job then. Okay, cool. So let's simulate this same situation again, right? Ding dong, right? Somebody's at the door. He goes over. Oh my God, somebody's here, right? We tell him, hey, bed, right? He doesn't do it. We tell him no, correct, bed, right? He still doesn't do it. He's still super distracted over there. We're gonna go up to a 65. No, bed, right? He still doesn't listen. We're gonna go up to an 85. No, bed, right? And we're gonna follow through in that moment before we go and let that person in until we get him under control. We're gonna make sure that that's a success. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the determining factor between the training sessions going really well and like the real life situations going really well. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing with that is we know like he looks phenomenal with it when you're doing your training sessions and stuff, which means he 100% knows what to do, but he also 100% knows when he can get away with not doing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's just a handling thing, right? And that's kind of what like, you know, the skills you kind of have to develop as you move along is being able to focus through those real life distractions. Because another thing I see with owners sometimes is that they get just as distracted as the dog does in that situation. Like we're flustered because like, oh my God, they're here. I didn't know they were coming, right? And the dog's distracted, we're distracted, and we're like trying to get them to do something, but like we're not doing it the same as we would do it in a training session. You know what I mean? So you've got to be able to focus through that. So sometimes what works best in those situations is try to set up some controlled high distraction situations to practice working through it, right? Meaning next time you know somebody's coming over, right? Pretend like you don't know they're coming over, just be hanging out on the couch, whatever. Wait till they ring the bell. He's gonna have the same exact response, but be in a position to correct it and treat it like a 2-minute training session right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that'll help you get past it. But the biggest thing, I hear that all the time is, you know, you kind of miss the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like we don't follow through and get it under control, which is just gonna make it a little harder the next time, which is just gonna make it a little harder the next time, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to be consistent about that. So, but yeah, level is everything in that situation, and then just being able to focus through it and follow through. And it's like, you know, even if it takes 5 minutes, right? Like we're not letting that person in until we get you under control, dude. You know what I mean? Like we've got to, because if you get through it in that moment, the next time it's going to be so much easier for you to do so, because he's going to realize, oh, this didn't work, right? No barking, I hear.
Huh?
No barking, I hear. I know, that's good.
I know. She's been crying a little bit because she wants to get out.
Nah, that's okay.
Wait a minute, you. Yeah, come on.
Ooh, new collar.
Well,
What's going on?
not much.
Hello? You doing good?
Yeah.
Any big issues?
Nope.
Where do you feel like you've been at with stuff lately?
Well, actually, I was just thinking, I'm like, I don't really know if I need to come much more, really. I mean, not to be like, but I'm saying, I mean, I don't know if I really want, do we really need to spend time with, like, doing a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Well,
she's not.
No. Listen, I understand. I understand.
I mean, I want to train her. Like, I wanted her. Pretty much, I'm paying you because I wanted to be able to walk her comfortably. I can walk her comfortably.
So that's not a problem anymore, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can pass people, and she's pretty good. I mean, she's kind of funny though, because she like every time we pass a dog, she does like that, like she taps them with her nose.
Yeah.
So she's telling me not to freak out or what?
Maybe. Okay, so yeah, I mean, listen. So you said there's obviously I know the dog reactivity was the big issue, right?
Like,
You said that. Where are you at with that as far as like, do you not see it like at all at this point? Do you see it sometimes? Like, where are you?
Sometimes her fur will fluff up. That's about it.
But there's no more of the huge freaking out she used to do?
No.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, that's a positive, obviously,
I know, that's what
right?
I'm saying.
So let's do this. Today, what we'll do is we'll just kind of test it all one more time.
Okay.
From there, what we'll do is we'll put like a timeline on like maybe like a month or something like that you work with her and see if you notice any of it start to pop back up, and then we kind of cross the bridge from there as far as what we want to do.
Okay.
I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay,
So
good.
let's do this. Let's take her back to the park one more time today. It's a little chilly, but there should still be some dogs and stuff out. Whether you're, in your case, starting your own private practice somewhere, or in my case, starting a dog training kennel, right? It's like, we get into this because we know the craft, right?
Right.
And then you have to figure out all the business side of things. Yeah. That's the most underlooked part. I think a lot of people think, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna start my own dog training company, you know, it'd be easy, or they just don't understand what goes into it, both from a time standpoint and a financial standpoint.
Stress.
Yeah, and yeah. No.
I was thinking tomorrow would be the last day of my business.
100%. I work with a lot of like younger trainers and stuff that are starting like their dog training businesses, and that's one of the consistent things I tell everybody is like I would say once or twice a month I go through like a 24-hour period of time where like I'm just like looking at things. I'm like, we're gonna go out of business, you know. And it's 100% the stupidest thing. It's not. There's no chance it's gonna happen. But like you just like create this thing in your head of like, oh, it's like we had one day where we had less sales than usual. It's like, you know, that's another big thing I think that like people don't necessarily realize is how much responsibility there is with that, right? Like I have like you have 6 people. I have 12 people that are like, I am responsible for their you know what I mean? Like for their livelihood. Well, turnover it's the most expensive part of the business, right? So like we've done absolutely everything we could to, I used to always say like, I wanted to make this job the hardest job to leave, right? So, you know, everything from, and I would say in comparison to any other dog trainer, at least in Cleveland, we have more competitive pay than anyone else. We have better benefits than anybody else. We have better hours than anybody else. The job is better, you know. We've really put a lot of time into that to just ensure it doesn't happen.
For us, it's like personalities have to match up.
Meshing, yeah.
I feel like I just kind of.
Culture obviously is huge, right? Inner staff issues is like the single worst thing to deal with, right? Yeah, and it's one thing where like, so like my mentor in dog training, that was one thing that he helped me with a lot like early on in my career, was just like understanding like how much one person can toxically impact literally everything, you know?
I don't recognize it. Maybe like other employees wouldn't say
Sure.
anything, and you're like, okay, well, you know, then the person finally leaves, and all of a sudden it's like, like, hang on a second.
Yeah, I think kind of, because I used to have a lot of issues with that as well, where it's like I wouldn't hear about anything until it was like this huge problem, right? And like one of my hacks to that was just having like good management like underneath me that's in the weeds enough with them, you know what I mean? Where they are kind of my direct contact between like how the culture is going, because I'm not going to see it, you know what I mean? They're always going to act different around me, and it's going to be much more difficult to kind of get the finger on that. It depends. So I've done both ways. So a lot of my trainers that I've had, I hired green. So they were just employees that were interested in training, and I taught them how to do it, right? I've had a couple of people who have had training experience. that one's always a gamble, because if they have experience, because training is unregulated and it's different all the time, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you may be almost shooting yourself in the foot by fighting all these bad habits that they have ingrained. But on the contrary, like my head one-on-one trainer right now had almost as much experience as me coming into this, about the same amount of experience as me, and she's been like probably the best asset that I've hired in a long time, you know? So it's more the personality of the person, you know what I mean? Like, she was adaptable to change. She was already very knowledgeable, but was willing to kind of make the shifts to kind of fit what, yeah. And it's not even like, it's like, oh, you have to be like me. It's just, you know, kind of like what we preach and what we stand by and all that kind of stuff. Just align a little bit with that, you know, and still have your flair on things.
What is it? You're making nervous. I can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
I can't. I don't handle heat.
I think you can.
Oh no.
Don't you need like gloves for this thing? My hands are already sweaty.
Turns your tongue blue.
I'm gonna do it.
Do not eat if you are sensitive to spicy foods.
I can't do that.
It's only 25 calories.
Yeah, that doesn't matter to me.
One tortilla chip.
I need somebody to do this. The 2-chip challenge.
Oh no.
Please no.
Looks like I'm doing my
I'm a little
one-on-one.
No, like for real.
David.
You gotta wash your hands, man.
Oh, don't rub your eyes.
Wash your hands. It said wash your hands with soap. If you're out. Don't touch your face.
How is it?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Do you want some Oreos? Here, take them all. They're mega stuffed.
You okay? Your mouth is blue.
Your teeth are blue.
This is bad.
Oh my goodness.
I tried to tell you.
What's wrong with this? You know, you just
He's gonna have to
at Walgreens.
Don't touch your face.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, what did you expect?
Oh, don't touch your face.
David.
Are you okay?
Is it getting any better? He's like, no.
Get some pepperoni and some pizza.
Oh yeah, have some pizza. That's cool.
Got some dog food.
Some mustard. Oh, a popsicle. It's like, I have to help my friend.
What you want, blue?
Yeah, just add insult to injury with the tea.
Holy shit.
Popsicle.
Got plenty more.
Two of the same time.
Tongue takeover, shock the senses, surge of tears, jolt to the gut, and then voltage overload. I feel like you're in the jolt to the gut kind of stage right now.
I feel like I'm like stimulated right now.
Yeah. You're in the shock the senses stage
Yeah.
then. Well, I'll tell you, if it was me, I'd be crying on the floor right now. So you're doing better than me. 6 minutes.
The first like 30 seconds, I was like, this isn't that bad.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was fine. And then as soon as I swallowed, it was like,
dude, that was
fuck me. My mouth is burning.
It would be like running water over my whole head right now if that was me. I might have nightmares tonight, but.
Alright guys, so we're headed downtown right now. There's downtown. We are going to do so I shot myself in the foot, right? So this fucking chip thing, right? I feel like I'm gonna die right now, right? But we're rallying because we're going to do an assessment because I got a DM this morning from one of our own Cleveland Cavaliers that needs some help with his dog. And I can't let him down, right? I told him, yeah, I'll come by, right? And then I can't message him and be like, hey, sorry, I ate a fucking chip and now feel like shit and can't come do your assessment. Like, that would not be, I don't think that would go over, I don't think that would go over very well, right? So I got to rally, I got to go do this assessment, so we're heading to do it. I feel like shit right now. So that's it. You're kind of a wimp, bud. So this is pretty standard when people come in and stuff.
It's more so male.
Yeah.
See, look, he sees a female.
Yeah, yeah. Just let him hang out for a second, obviously. Oh, bud. I'm just gonna give him a couple minutes here, just let him kind of warm up. So just getting into, again, big issues you guys are seeing. So obviously he just gets scared and spooked of everything. He'll get reactive like this. You said he's never actually tried to like bite anybody or anything? Just a lot of this.
There's a lot. He does it like if he hears people walking, relax.
Yeah.
Walking out.
Yeah, sure. And have you tried to do any sort of training with him up until this point?
So I did a little, but then the summer came and I was ripping and running. So he was with my parents a lot.
Okay.
So it kind of, you warm up to her.
Yeah, you can tell he wants to approach and just gets spooked. So. And out on the walk, what's his behavior like? Like if you take him out on the streets and stuff?
So he'll walk. Like I can take him off the leash. No off leash training. He'll walk like with me. It's weird. But he's just so like any type of noise, horn or like someone's walking behind him fast.
Yeah.
Pulling and trying to run away.
Okay. I know, bud. You're very scary. So definitely concerned still, but you can see the hair on the back is kind of coming down a little bit. Now, when you have guests come over, how long will it take before he like warms up, or does he warm up? Or
Yeah, he warms up.
He will?
He warms up 5 to 10.
5 to 10 minutes, something like that? Okay. And then at that point, is he like good usually? Like he's like totally cool with everybody?
It'll probably take, he's usually good. You get up fast, he might, which is weird, but
sure.
Usually he'll warm up.
Okay. All right. So basically what I want to do today is just kind of generally assess where he's at with stuff, right? So obviously you could tell right off the rip coming in, very unsure of people, right? And even with, my go-to anytime I come into a place like this is just typically ignore the dog, give them a minute, not put any extra pressure on them or anything like that. You can tell he's still pretty apprehensive even with us ignoring him. So what I want to kind of see is as we try to work him through some of this stuff and give him some direction just in the form of just using the leash and stuff like that, how he responds to that, if he's very resistant to it, things like that. And that'll kind of give me an idea as far as what kind of approach we got to take. I'm just curious as I approach here again, where he retreats to. In a lot of cases, we'll see dogs will either kind of go off and go back to his crate or something like that, or they'll glue themselves up next to their owner, right? And that would be a telltale sign that he's kind of doing a little bit of guarding of you, obviously. So we'll see what we get. Yeah, so he clearly moves away from you, which is fine. So I'm just going to kind of walk around for a minute. I want to see how long he just tries to run away from me for. Drama. Oh, so you're going to follow me now? Is that what's going on? So funny. All right, so what we're going to do in a second here, I'm going to have you pop a collar on him for me, and then I'll take that leash and kind of interact with him a little bit. Give me the leash. Thank you. And all I'm going to do next is just get him to kind of come near me here. Here, I'll go the other way, make it easier so you don't have to go over the rug. Whoa, hold on, bud.
There's actually a space in the hallway for the
We're going to go out in a minute here. We'll just start in here. made you be near me. It's scary. He's like, what is going on? Oh, you're gonna come up with me? Is that what's going on? Is that it? Is this the move? Am I in your spot? Goofball. Come on. So a lot of times when you deal with dogs that are like really nervous and apprehensive and stuff.
That was so serious. All that
I know, that's it, right? They're just looking for direction, right? So like he's obviously scared, that's where all this reactivity is coming from, and he doesn't feel like you guys are properly advocating for him in these scary situations because we don't have a way to communicate effectively with him. We don't have a way to tell him, hey, you don't need to be worried about these people, I need you to do this instead, or any sort of variation of that, right? So a lot of times, when we see a dog like that, as soon as I get the leash on and start providing some sort of direction to them, even if it's something as simple as, hey, I'm not gonna let you escape like that, right? I need you to stay in this bubble with me, immediately we'll start to see them relax a little bit. Now, he's obviously still anxious, he's obviously still scared right now. We're not, moving mountains in 10 minutes here, right? But he's no longer reacting and he's kind of giving into it a little bit, right? I know, buddy. You got a very soft head. Very soft head. Now, a lot of this stuff is kind of genetic. Like I said, it's interesting how much of it we've seen lately, especially with the Corsos and the Mastiffs and stuff. It's like you get these big dogs thinking they're going to be all tough and stuff, right? And the positive is like he's scared, but his go-to is just get away. Like it's not like he's like.
That's what I like. He's just the most. It'll be a random time. You don't know what he's scared about.
Yeah.
As I was saying, like there has to be times when you're training this, like you should just tell them like it's okay.
100%.
English, they have no idea what you're saying.
Literally, and that's funny you say that because everybody's go-to is tell the dog it's okay, right? And it's like they have no clue, right? Like the only thing dogs can perceive is when we like what they're doing and when we don't like what they're doing. That's it, right? And us saying, hey, it's okay, it's okay. All that's saying is I like what you're doing right now, which most times that's the opposite of what we're trying to tell them. So just the random being spooked by things, obviously. So right now, we're not looking for perfection with it by any means, but I want to start to block some of that a little bit. So instead of allowing him to just rehearse it and just get away with just darting this way, darting that way, right? By starting to keep a little bit of control established with this, we could start to kind of inhibit some of those responses. Now, in addition to us wanting to block some of that getting away, I also want to inhibit some of the like curious approaching as well. And we're kind of trying to create this idea that the scary things are a little less scary and the exciting things are a little less exciting. So if you are into somebody, don't act on that impulse. And if you're scared of something, don't act on that impulse either, right? Just focus on me is kind of the general philosophy we want to create. Hey. Hey. So same deal, obviously passing dogs. He wasn't overly interested, but did try to pull over a little more. So I was just giving little corrections for that to keep his attention off of it. All right, so with this, couple keys. Keep your leash short, obviously, but not tight, right? So short, but we don't want constant tension on it. We want to be in a position where when he's in the correct spot, he's not feeling any tension on that collar. If you do need to give any information with it, it's more of a quick pull and then release, right? So we're popping, then releasing, popping, then releasing. Got it? So keep them on your left-hand side, and if you flip your hand, instead of holding it like this, if you hold it like that, let go of it, and then grab it, turn your hand around, there you go, like that. That's gonna be more comfortable for you because most of the motion is back, right? It's not like up. So, and then we'll see where this dog, they're going in there. So we're gonna go ahead and start cruising this way. And then as you're walking, if you feel like he has too much slack, you could shorten your leash up a little bit more, obviously, or not enough, you can give him some. So, and your job right now is just keep him on a loose lead on your left-hand side right there. That's all I wanna see. like the idea here behind this is like he needs to start feeling like somebody's in control of things. You know what I mean? Let me see that leash real quick. Here, bud. Come on. Right, so as soon as I start noticing, okay, he's getting spooked by something over there, I'm immediately gonna give some direction there. Like, hey, don't worry about that. I need you to sit here right now, right? And little details like that. And obviously, as you progress further through the training, it becomes easier and easier to do that. But that's kind of the idea here is we start to work through these issues when we have guests come over and him just all over the place. Like he's going from you to his crate to this to that. You know what I mean? Like it's you gotta just focus in on something here right now, right? And the second that we get him to do that, we could start seeing some of that anxiety go down as he puts 50% of his brain onto whatever that task is that we're asking him to do. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how we start to see them chill out a little bit. So. But he seems responsive. Like I'll tell you, like I said, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and he seems, he's, at least comfortable next to me here right now, right? He was walking, better than what he usually does. And honestly, even for most dogs, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like passing through crowds and stuff like that, that's hard for a lot of dogs. And he did pretty darn well with that as well. So
it's like this
yeah.
tuning area, like
yeah, for sure. It's just teaching the communication, you know what I mean? He needs to understand what the language is, and you have to understand what the language is to be able to help him through this stuff. Exactly.